Hi, my name's Andy Drudy, and today we're going to take a look at improvising over 2-5-1 chord progressions. I assume that since you've found this video, you already know what a 2-5-1 chord progression is, and your music theory is pretty good, because it needs to be. If your music theory isn't that great, you need to do a bit of homework and brush up on that stuff. I've got other videos you can take a look at if you're weak in that area. For this video, what I've done is I put a PDF down there. There's a link. You'll need that PDF. So what I'd recommend you do is pause the video, download the PDF, print it off so you've got it in front of you. This has all the arpeggios you need, all the chord progressions you need, everything you need to play over 2-5-1s. Okay, so do that immediately before we go on. Okay, so what is a 2-5-1? Well, a 2-5-1 is basically a chord progression going from the 2 chord to the 5 chord to the 1 chord. Right, let's do a bit of music theory. Let's talk about exactly what we mean there. If you take a C major scale, harmonize that scale, you get this. You get C major 7th, D minor 7th, E minor 7th, F major 7th, G 7th, A minor 7th, B half diminished, or B minor 7 flat 5, and then the C major 7th again. So that's your C major chord scale. So the 2 chord will be the D minor 7th, the 5 chord will be the G 7th, and the 1 chord will be the C major 7th. Okay? So what is that? What's so special about a 2-5-1? Well, a 2-5-1 is a chord progression that is moving back in fifths. So if you start on D minor 7 in the key of C, if you move back, you end up in a G 7th. On a G 7th, if you move back a fifth in the key of C, you end up a C major 7th. And you can keep going on in that fashion. But to play over 2-5-1s is a very important thing to be able to do if you want to improvise over more complex harmony than probably you're used to, particularly in jazz. I don't want to stress this is a jazz thing, because it's not only a jazz thing, it's useful in blues and funk and pop, in almost every kind of music, but it's particularly useful in jazz because chord progressions tend to move in that way around the cycle of fifths. They tend to move that way, so it's particularly important in jazz. So let's begin. If you take that chord scale, there are 4 different types of chord in there. There's a major 7th type, there's a minor 7th type, there's a dominant 7th type, and there's a half diminished type, or minor 7 flat 5. So if you want to take this approach to improvising, you've got to learn to improvise over all those 4 different chord types: a major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, and minor 7 flat 5. So let's start with the major 7s. If you look at the PDF or the exercise sheet given below, what I've done is I've given you each arpeggio in 5 positions on the neck, so it covers all the necks, so that wherever you are on the neck you should be able to play any one of these arpeggios. Look at the major 7ths. I do this as an F sharp major 7th because I don't want to use open strings. Okay, so pattern 1 is this: 1, 3, 5, major 7, 1, 3, 5, major 7. That's pattern 1, yeah? Pattern 2, let's move on. Okay, pattern 3. Pattern 4. Lastly, pattern 5. And And that's all the major 7th arpeggios. You really need to be thorough about these. You need to know all these positions in your sleep, all these patterns in your sleep, so no matter where you are on the neck, you can get hold of a major 7th arpeggio. You've got to be very thorough about that. So now let's do the minor 7s. So we're going to do this as an F. Okay, if you're familiar with a minor pentatonic, it's very similar. It's very similar indeed to that. We're just leaving out the 4th. Okay, so that's pattern 1. Pattern 2, starting on the 3rd fret, 4th string. Pattern number 3, 8th fret, 5th string. Starting on the same notes. And the last pattern, the 5th pattern, starting at the 13th fret. Okay, so there you have 5 minor 7 patterns. Now we're going to go back to F sharp to do the dominant 7s. That's the first pattern. So, second pattern, 4th fret, 4th string. Okay. Then the next pattern. And the next pattern. And lastly. Okay, that's great. So, we're not going to do the half diminished because that's not relevant to a 2-5-1. There isn't a half diminished chord in a 2-5-1, so we're going to ignore that for the moment. You will need to know that, for example, if you want to play over minor 2-5-1s, but that's for another video. We'll do that. So 3 sets of arpeggios there: the minor 7, the dominant 7, and the major 7th. You're going to need all those arpeggios to do the set of exercises that we've got coming up next. You've got to be really thorough about this. You've got to know all those arpeggios in and out, all over the neck. And there's a lot to do there. A lot of information to learn. You've got to know all the names of the notes on the neck. You've got to be really thorough about this. So there's a lot of work there. So let's take a look at exercise 1. This is our first 2-5-1 chord progression, and this is in the key of G. It's A minor 7 to D7 to G major 7. So A minor 7 to D7 to G major 7. Now, there are a set of 5 exercises here, and I'm not going to go through each exercise because that's a bit pointless. What I'm going to do is just do the first exercise, and then what you learn about the first exercise, you simply apply to all the other 5 exercises. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping, for each exercise, I'm keeping the patterns around the 5th fret in a sort of a block around there, and I'm going to try and always stay for each exercise around that position. So you'll have to learn a different set of arpeggios and shapes for each exercise, and by the time you get to the 5th exercise you should be through each of the arpeggios in each of the patterns and have everything covered. So for the arpeggios you're going to need for this are A minor 7 here, starting on the 5th fret, and then D7, starting at the 5th fret, and then G major 7, starting at the 5th fret. Okay, they're the arpeggios we're going to use for this exercise. Now, the best thing to do now is to make a little recording. All you need is a little tape recorder, any kind of device. You can use your phone even if you like, for recording yourself playing the chord progression. So if you make yourself a little backing track that goes like this: 4 beats of D7, 2 bars of G major 7, and then just loop it round. Loop it round. Not too fast, just nice nice and easy like that, going round and round and round. Just make a recording of yourself doing that over and over. Now the idea of this obviously is over the A-7 chord you're going to play the A-7 arpeggio, over the D7 chord you're going to play the D7 arpeggio, over the G major 7 chord you're going to play the G major 7th arpeggio. This is a life's work actually. This isn't something you're going to master today or by the end of the week. This approach to playing is something you're going to be developing for your whole life until you die if you continue playing this style of music. So don't be too despondent if you find it difficult or the results you're coming up with initially aren't that great. Don't worry about that. It's a long road to get to anything that kind of sounds kind of good. So all you've got to do is keep working on it and keep working on it. So this is kind of what you should be ending up with. A-7, D, G major 7, A minor, D7, G major 7. Initially, just start off doing eighth notes or quarter notes. Keep it very easy. Keep the rhythm quite steady and repetitive until you get familiar with it, until you get familiar with making your way around these arpeggios. And then once you get a little bit more familiar with the arpeggios, you can start working in other ideas, like just stop playing things that become sort of rhythmically more interesting, kind of like this. Okay, well hopefully you like that. Anyway, so I'm going to go out on this video with me just sort of jamming over a 2-5-1 with a little backing track that I made in Band in a Box. How you should continue is look at all the other exercises. There are 5 in all, and do exactly the same thing. Learn the chord progression, record a backing track, and then learn the arpeggios to play over that, so it keeps you in that position. And do that for all 5 exercises. And then once you've done that and you feel comfortable with it, then you should go on to the songbook. Start playing over some tunes. A good start is Fly Me to the Moon, because that's a tune that goes backwards in the cycle of fifths, and it's kind of an interesting kind of tune. All the Things You Are, Autumn Leaves. These are possibly the first 3 tunes you should take a look at. Then take a look at a blues. Start playing over the arpeggios over a blues. Yeah, well I hope that was fun and I hope that was interesting. Please download the PDF and share it as much as you like. And yeah, I hope you find that useful, and I shall see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.